It's again an important responsibility, I think, to be an ambassador. And in the case of Japan, it's our closest ally in Asia. Our economies are linked together. And just in recent months, China has exceeded Japan as the most important point of export and import. The United States has held that position for many, many years. We still have a security alliance that's central to peace and security in the Pacific area and so on. And the Japanese people and the American people are linked in this political and economic relationship. It's kind of wonderful to think about because only a few years ago we were locked in a desperate battle, and I think when American presidents go to Japan, it's again a symbol of a new relationship. President Bush, President Bush, and Prime Minister Koizumi have developed a close personal relationship. And the president commented that it was interesting that his father, President Bush 41, had fought in a desperate war, and now, you know, he and the Prime Minister of Japan are kind of symbols of a close relationship between the two countries. Anyway, it was only marred at the end by a very difficult submarine accident where an American attack submarine came up underneath a Japanese high school training vessel and sank it. And we did the right thing, I think, in spending some degree of not only effort but money to rescue the bodies from that wreck, which was very important for the Japanese.
And Secretary Powell asked you to stay on, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Contrary to the normal practice of
I was about ready to leave, and he asked me to stay until we could get through this difficult problem. It was also interesting because the accident was very difficult to explain, and it was all fault without any question. But the Japanese also wanted a special envoy to come to Japan. I remember, you know, why do you need a special envoy? I represent the president. Well, they want some naval officer because the commander of the submarine had been advised by his naval lawyers that he shouldn't make any comment about it. Everybody apologized about this accident. The president called the prime minister, the Secretary Powell called the foreign minister. I apologized to the prime minister and to the foreign minister. The Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, apologized to the defense minister. I even apologized to the emperor when I made my farewell call on him. And the emperor takes no part in politics, but the palace immediately released the story that I had apologized for the submarine accident. And so they insisted on having somebody in a naval uniform because the commander of the submarine couldn't do it. They wanted somebody else. And they couldn't send the chief of naval operations because he's in a juridical position with respect to any discipline that might be invoked against the submarine commander, and so he couldn't come. But they sent the vice chief of naval operations, Bill Fallon, who is now Pacific headquarters, as we sit here tonight, commander in the Pacific. And the first thing I heard about Admiral Fallon was that he was a little bit of a sort of strict disciplinarian and so on, and I had a vision of him that I was a little worried about, but he turned out to be an absolute wonderful and instinctively great diplomat. He had two teenage sons himself, and the two heads of the family group had both lost teenage sons in the accident. And the only thing we had to do with Admiral Fallon is teach him a little bit about how to bow. But his natural instinct made him a tremendous natural diplomat. And he helped immeasurably heal the wounds and smooth over the difficult period in our relations. And now I think things are very much normal. But Japan is a fascinating country. You learn when you're there how little you know about Japan because it is a tremendous combination of history and tradition and modern life. And Japan is changing. It's changing slowly, but it's changing inexorably. And it's adjusting to a different world, and its own internal social patterns are changing. So it's a fascinating place to be, and I still enjoy the opportunity to go back to Japan from time to time during each year.